Oh, did it start?
Yeah.
Sorry.
You can go ahead. I can just edit out the first portion.
It stopped at like 4. So it was
Oh.
weird. You just want to include this in?
Yeah. No, I'll cut it out.
Oh,
So if
okay.
you just want to start.
Okay. All right. Welcome back to the Tracy Take. Today, Ryan and I will be previewing the Denver Broncos 2021 season and what we think they might be doing with their 9th overall pick and some things that they should address in the offseason. But before we get into that, Ryan and I, we have a goal of getting to 400 subscribers by Super Bowl weekend, which is this Sunday. We might come up a little bit short, but helping us get as close as we possibly can, we would be greatly appreciated. So subscribe to this channel if you have not already. Like this video, comment on this video, let us know how you think the Broncos did and what they need to do in the offseason to become Super Bowl contenders next year. And Ryan, let's get into it. So, really, the Broncos are kind of they're kind of that other team in their division that it seems like every division has. And unfortunately for them, because they have a lot of talent, but when you're in a division with Kansas City, the Chargers, and the Raiders, who were shockingly actually somewhat decent, especially considering all of the turmoil that they went through this year. The Broncos just are kind of in a really tough spot right now, and it's weird because, as we'll get into in a little bit, it's not really like they need to go through a rebuild.
No.
Because they have a lot of talent. It's just not there yet, and it makes sense then on why they moved on from Vic Fangio as their coach and brought in Hackett, the offensive coordinator from Green Bay.
Yeah.
Send it over to you. What do you think went well for the Broncos in this season?
Okay, so the very first thing, I think overall scoring defense, they were ranked 3rd. So you have to give them a lot of credit there. I think their defense was really good. And more specifically, their pass defense was ranked 8th. Patrick Surtain Patrick Surtain and co. did a really good job of just kind of holding teams to very limited yards in passing situations. And honestly, they would have probably had the number 1 defense if their rushing defense wasn't average. So if they have a top 10 rushing defense, I think that they probably have the number 1 scoring defense in the NFL. And I really like a few of their offensive linemen. The one guy, Garrett Bolles, the left tackle, is their highest graded one at 76.6 grade on PFF. It kind of got weaker in the middle as you get to the guard and center position, and the weakest being, I think it's Lloyd Cushenberry, at a 64. And so I think the offensive line, for what it was, did good, but can definitely be improved upon. And then I think skill position wise, they did a very good job. I really like who they have in Courtland Sutton, Noah Fant, Juedy, even though he did miss some time, and then Javonte Williams, the running back out of North Carolina that was a rookie this year, had a phenomenal rookie season, and I think he's going to be one of the stars to come in the coming seasons. What do you have anything else that you think they did well?
Well, the one thing I think I'm going to say is a shout out to the front office and their 2021 draft class, because I'm looking at their first 5 picks. All were major contributors to the team, which is great for this youth movement. Start with Patrick Surtain, Javonte Williams, as you just mentioned. Quinn Miners played right guard. Quinn Miners. So I did that all last year, too. 67.4 grade for a rookie at right guard. That's a solid grade. Baron Browning was a solid linebacker addition, was able to come in and hold his own. And then Caden Stearns had 2 interceptions on the year and really played a big part in that defense. So shout out. I mean, they actually hit last year's draft out of the park, and I think it's going to set up a great foundation for the future, especially with what you talked about with all the skill position players that they already have. Which then really kind of puts them in an interesting spot, because the one thing I would say that was bad, so to say, and I think that what they are going to start to rebuild, especially with them getting rid of Von Miller, is going to be that front line and that front 7, which we've started to see them retool, which I think they might address. They only had 36 sacks on the year, which put them 19th overall, which is below average throughout the league. I would say I think that's going to be something that they're going to need to address, because I feel like on the offensive side of the ball, I mean, obviously everyone's going to talk about quarterback, but I don't know like they could address it, and they probably will address it in the draft. But I don't know if they'll do that with the first pick. I don't think they should. But because I think there's going to be a lot of great talent there on the defensive front that's going to be available at the ninth pick.
And so that is something that I really like about this team is I really think they're in a Tampa Bay situation a couple years ago. It's like Tampa Bay had Chris Godwin, had Mike Evans, had O.J. Howard and Cameron Brate. They had a top 5 defense in the second half of 2019. So then coming into the 2020 season, it's like, all right, they added, Rob Gronkowski and Tom Brady, granted 2 Hall of Fame caliber players, but like they added 2 pieces and all of a sudden they are a Super Bowl champion. And I really think that Denver is kind of in that situation. And instead of Rob Gronkowski, I think maybe if they add defensive line contributor and then a guy like Aaron Rodgers in the offseason, I think this team could honestly be a quarterback away from returning to a Super Bowl contention.
Yeah.
So
what you're saying is all they need to do is go add 2 Hall of Famers and then they're set.
Well, okay, yeah, that helps. That helps any team, but
sounds easy. All right, there it is. That's the offseason right there for the Broncos.
But okay, so Aaron Rodgers is clearly on the market. I mean, shoot, so is Davante Adams. He's an unrestricted free agent. He's the top one in this class overall. And granted, I don't know if they have the money to add both, but
well, I don't think they would need Davante Adams personally.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at the combination of Courtland Sutton, Jerry Judy. Tim Patrick also is a veteran receiver, and he was just steady throughout the whole season. And then you have Noah Fant as well. I mean, they have Noah Fant. I think did miss a game or two. But if he didn't, and he played all 17 games, they'd have 3 receivers over 700 yards. And Jerry Judy played 10 games and was just shy of 500.
Yeah.
So like they have a great, I would say, balance, receiver balance. Javonte Williams is looking like he's going to be able to take the helm at running back because Melvin Gordon is going to be hitting free agency unless they want to bring him back.
But I don't think the value is there. I think they can get a guy late in the draft that can add a similar value to Melvin Gordon at this point in his career.
So I do see what you're saying on the offensive side of the ball. Defensively, I would still say, unless if they trade that first-round pick for Aaron Rodgers, which I think it would take that, and then maybe one other pick, maybe later in the draft, or maybe next year's pick to get Rodgers, just because of how expensive he is. And also it would be a rental for, I think he's only got 1 more year left, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
But if they don't decide to go down that route and stick with Teddy Bridgewater, who is a free agent, but they'll be able to sign him for a couple million. Or if they would want to go bring in a Mitch Trubisky or some other QB with experience that they think that can come in and be effective. Andy Dalton, I think, might should be hitting the market. Not saying that they're going to go after these guys, just trying to think of veteran QBs that they can kind of plug and play.
That's more of what I was implying when I said they're in a Tampa Bay situation. Because I know Tom Brady had an MVP career, but in 2020 he was a competent quarterback, and he was top 10 in the league. But he did not have close to an MVP season his first year. He had a really good playoffs, and as the season went on, he got a lot better. But numbers wise, he was competent. He was top 10. But and I think if they can add that, I think that makes a huge difference for this team. Just because I don't think Teddy Bridgewater or Drew Lock are that guy. Now, before the episode started, I told you that I had a little bit of a surprise draft pick that I think would be a really good fit for this team, and I really like Tyler Linderbaum's fit here. Their weakest spot on that offensive line is center. I think Tyler Linderbaum is a plug-and-play improvement over Lloyd Cushenberry. And I know offensive line has a lot to do with chemistry, but Tyler Linderbaum, with his physicality and power run game, I think Javonte Williams would love to run behind him, and then I think that would give you 3 Pro Bowl caliber offensive linemen between Garrett Bolles, Tyler Linderbaum, and then Quinn Miners at right guard. I know that center is not quite as valuable as the tackle position, but I think to add a guy at the caliber of Linderbaum, who, in my opinion, is a top 10, top 15 talent in this year's draft class, I think that would be a huge improvement to this run game and being able to not only run outside the tackles now, but also have a power run game that you can run it down to Kansas City's throat and really bleed the air out of the ball. Keep Patrick Mahomes on the sideline for 10 minutes plus and do that. I think that's a really good one. And if you look at the drop-off from interior offensive line, you got Tyler Linderbaum, Zion Johnson, and maybe a couple other guys that I think will really make an impact. But edge and I think defensive line class, I mean, you're running 8 deep at first-round caliber edge and defensive line guys. So I think that adding a guy in the first round, maybe like Tyler Linderbaum, and then going like a Javonte Wyatt in the second round is something that would be very intriguing for the Denver Broncos.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I think that's a good option. I think one thing, though, that might be a little high on Linderbaum, and I think kind of with where the Broncos are sitting, people are going to be one to go because obviously we don't know where quarterback's going to be taken. I think one option the Broncos might do is potentially trade back to a team that's in 16th or 17th. And I think Linderbaum still might be there, only because there might be other positions or teams that have higher priority needs. So they might be able to trade back, get Linderbaum. And one thing, maybe another QB that we haven't mentioned that is going to be on the market if they want to address the QB spot is going to be Jimmy G, who might cost probably a 4th or 5th round pick.
No, he's a free,
if that even.
I thought he was a free agent. I thought his contract expired this year.
No, I thought he was requesting a trade. I'll go double check that for us. But if he is requesting a trade, I think maybe a 5th round pick might do it. And then you can go and trade back 5-6 spots, maybe get that 5th round pick back, and maybe another pick on top of that, depending on how high value that position is. So either way, though, the Broncos drafting wise, I think are in a good spot. And if they continue the trend from last year, I think they're going to knock this draft out of the park. And I think it's going to be I don't think there's really a wrong pick here. Unless if they would go receiver, because they don't need receiver.
No. I agree with that. I also don't know if there's going to be a top 10 caliber receiver in this class. There's a couple. There's guys that will be top 15, but I don't know if anybody will go in the top 10. I do think that Linderbaum is a top 10 talent. I think his dominance at Iowa and kind of his leadership and what I've read about him off the field, I think that he would be a fantastic piece. And if I was Denver, I would be very much considering him with the 9th overall pick. So I think it's interesting what the Broncos are going to do. They're definitely a team in the AFC that can be a dark horse in 2022. They really were not that far off in 2021, and I don't think a lot of people realize that. They almost beat Kansas City in, what was that, week 18? And they were just a really competitive team all year. So I'm curious to see what it looks like in 2022. Oh, yeah. But I think that's going to wrap up this episode of the Tracy Take. So if you guys have not already, please go ahead and like and subscribe and leave a comment down below on what you think the Denver Broncos are going to do in the offseason. And other than that, I think we'll just see you guys next time. Thank you.